Neil, welcome back to Bradford City, new lead PDP coach. How does it feel, first and foremost, to be back here in this new role?
Yeah, really good. I mean, obviously, it's a while now since I played at the club, but great memories, for that time in the Premier League, and obviously, it's a fantastic club, and it's got a good history of getting young kids through, so it's a good place to be.
You just mentioned that they're coming into an academy setup that for the past few years now has grown year on year and come on leaps and bounds, really. I guess coming into a setup like this that has shown success and being charged with building a project and taking it even further, it's quite an exciting proposition for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously I've got good experience, from my time at Leeds, their academy, developing young players and bringing them through. And Leeds, and obviously Bradford City, they've got some fantastic young players on the books, and we feel it's a good time to try and bring that to the fore, and I'm excited to be part of that.
Mark, we've welcomed Neil Redfearn as new lead PDP coach. Just on that appointment, first of all, how pleased to welcome Neil to the club and to be working with him going forward?
No, really excited. We had over 85 applicants for the position. We had 3 or 4 ex-championship managers apply for the position, and obviously for me Neil was the outstanding candidate. You can't buy his wealth of experience, what he's achieved over 40 years as a player and as a coach, so to get him in the building and work with our 18s is pivotal for where we want to move the club forward.
You mentioned that experience, but what will Neil bring to the players as well from a coaching point of view, and what qualities does he carry in that sense?
Yeah, well, he's been there as a player. He's obviously played at the highest level, so he knows the demands and the professionalism away from the football ground, but also on it. And with Neil's wealth of experience, so he's been a first team manager, he's also been in 23s, and he's also been an academy manager at Leeds United, so he knows youth development, and it's important that we bridge the gap from 18s to first team, because currently we haven't really got a 21 system, so it's just preparing them earlier and putting certain strategies in place and loan strategies for certain types of players who we feel can progress earlier to the first team environment.
Yeah, really positive, excited as an academy. It brings in a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm sure he'll make a positive impact on the academy and the PDP group. So yeah, we're excited to have him on board, and I'm sure he'll make a positive impact.
Bringing somebody like that in with, like you mentioned, the experience, the knowledge and know-how from the gate, both as a player and on the coaching and management side across a sort of range of different codes in the professional game, how positive will that be for the lads to lean on and learn off?
Definitely, I think obviously bridging that gap between PDP and first team, Neil's been there, he's been in those environments, he's seen the pathway and what it takes for the players to progress from an 18s, 19s to a 21s to a first team. Obviously we don't have a 21s, but to bridge that gap between PDP into the first team, he's seen it, he's done it, so obviously drawing upon his experiences and passing that on to the players from an individual perspective but also a collective perspective as well. I think he's going to be invaluable for the academy and the players, so yeah, I'm sure they'll learn a lot from him.
From a culture point of view, okay, new starter coming into the academy and not having worked here before, but with Neil he brings obviously the point that he played here as a player when the club was in the Premier League and the first team. How important will that be in terms of knowing the expectations of this club and having that experience and, like I say again, know how to lean on and guide him through these times and pass on to the players as a bit of an example to set? Yeah,
I think obviously drawing upon those experiences of him playing in the first team environment and at Bradford City, knowing what the fans expect and what it takes as a player and the requirements as a player. I think obviously the players can draw upon that, and we can use his experience as an academy and as staff, and it's a case of myself and Neil collaborating and sharing my experience of being here a long time and his experience of being at different clubs but also being a first team player as well, using those experiences together and collaborate. I think that'll become very powerful in the academy and hopefully make a bigger impact on the players moving forward.
How important will that be, that experience? You mentioned Leeds United and Newcastle United as well more recently in the kind of development setup there, bringing through younger players and working with younger players. How much does that experience give you coming into an academy like this? Yeah,
it's massive because the experience of having one foot in the academy and one foot in the first team at Leeds, same again at Newcastle. I mean, slightly different role here at Bradford City, but it's the same principles. It's the top end of the academy as regards your players' development. And if we can get players in and around the first team, to help the manager and help the club, Obviously it's a great fillip to have for the club, because it's good to have your own identity. Young players that have been in and around the football club for a long time, and it's always good to have young players in the first team.
Just come out of Oldham as well, caretaker assistant manager there. In terms of having recent experience and not being long out of the game at all, that will help as well, won't it, being active as you have been?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was only 2 or 3 weeks, since I was on the grass, helping out at Oldham Athletic. And we had a good stint there. We had a good run of games, 6 games unbeaten, and and obviously it helped them get to where they wanted to go. But this is a different challenge altogether. One that really excites me. I'm really big on getting young players through. Even in my management days at Leeds, I wanted to encourage young players to come through and get in around the first team. And like I said, I mean, for me, it's still a big club. It's a big club in its history and its tradition. And we want to get these young boys an opportunity to go on and further their careers.
How much will it help, do you think, you personally, knowing the club, as you mentioned, the history and the tradition, being a part of it, while it was a Premier League club, coming into it again and knowing the potential, knowing the expectation and all that kind of thing across the board, how much will that help, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's got to help, because obviously that was the pinnacle. We couldn't go any further as leagues as go than being in the Premier League. So it's a fantastic opportunity to sort of pass some of that knowledge down, to the academy and the young boys, and and give them a feel of what Bradford City is all about. Because, like I said, just to be part of that group of players at that time, in Bradford was something else. Fantastic support, big club, big gates every home game, great following away from home. And I think it's important that the young players coming through need to understand that and what the club's about.
With a lot of talent in the academy and a lot of progression generally over the past few years, a lot of these players looking to bridge that gap and make a step into the first team, learning from somebody like Neil, who has played at a high level, coached at a high level, managed at a high level, that will do well for them as well, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Like with Neil's just like come in, there's been so much good work done previously as well. With Ryan Farrell now moving to our head of coaching, so it's just we've built really strong foundations, but it's now building on them foundations, and hopefully our project is, for an academy, we need to either get players into the first team or sell them on as a business, and that's what we're going to strive to do moving forward.
And as somebody who has played for Bradford City, represented this club at the highest level in the Premier League days, no better really for the players to learn off, and in terms of passing on experience of playing for this club and what it takes than Neil Redfearn.
Absolutely. It's a statement as well. Neil's a big name, in Yorkshire and in north of England and across the country really. He's worked at some big clubs. So he's Bradford City's 18s manager, and it just shows the ambition what the club want to do, in the under-18s level. So when we're going I think we're playing the Youth Cup on the 24th against one of Neil's ex-clubs, Barnsley, where he's a bit of a legend there. So, we're just really happy that he's on our side and not theirs.
First day on the job today, how have you found it working with Mark, with Ryan and the players? Yeah,
brilliant. Windy, got blown away, obviously, storm Deborah, but yeah, great. It's lovely to be on the grass working with the players. You can see that the boys have been coached well, which is important, and I'm looking forward to taking that challenge up.
In terms of the culture at the academy as well, you said that you can tell the boys have been coached well, to be able to take that on now and have an opportunity to further progress their careers, their young careers, and put your own spin on things must be really exciting for you.
Yeah, definitely, and I think what I bring is that experience between academy and first team, because obviously I've done both roles where I've been a first team manager and I've been a youth team coach. I did both at Leeds, both at Newcastle, and I think that experience for the players to be able to pass on, it just bridges that gap between academy football and first team football, and that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to get these young players in around the first team if we can.
You mentioned Ryan Farrell making the step up to head of coaching as well. How exciting a move is that for him and for the rest of the academy, and how deserved is that?
Yeah, it's pivotal. Ryan's worked all the way through from nines to foundation to youth development to PDP level, where he's done a terrific job. And we had an opening with Conor Moylan moving to Bahrain, and Ryan mentioned he'd be dead keen. And based progress into the head of coaching. And I thought it was a great move for him and great move for the academy, because we get that continuity. Because like I said, Ryan's been here a long time. He knows the coaching philosophy, he knows the playing philosophy. He's been part of building a really positive culture. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really smooth transition for Ryan.
How important is that when you talk about building the culture and being a part of the kind of continued success of the academy that we've seen over the past 5 to 10 years? Somebody who's been a part of it, been there and done it, like right the way down from the youth level, like you say, up to where he is now, in terms of setting that culture and knowing exactly what the demands of the academy are and the expectations. That must only be positive.
Absolutely, yeah. So for Ryan's own personal development now, he's doing the EOC, which is an extensive training course. It's probably 2 or 3 years long, where he'll now develop in terms of his mentoring skills and build his profile as a coach as well moving forward. And yeah, I think it's vital, because we have had a high turnover of coaches, where some of our coaches will go on to Cat 1s, Cat 2s, which we deem that as success because we've developed them. So not only do we want to develop players, we want to develop staff. And we have had a high turnover, so Ryan's got a big job on his hands in terms of developing and maintaining our strong ethos as an academy with the new staff coming in.
Following on from some great people, Conor Marlin previously, Martin Drury and Lewis Nightingale, all great people, and obviously created some really good foundations and strong foundations for me to continue to build on. So yeah, again, privileged and proud. And I'm excited to continue the good work. Obviously I'm going in a slightly different angle, still be coaching and working around the PDP, but also get around some of the younger age groups as well. I'm really looking forward to that and make an impact on the coaches and also the teams as well. So,
having been here in the academy still for as long as you have, again, when we use that word culture and talk about the experiences that you've had so far, how important is that in terms of all the players at different age groups knowing you, seeing you as a face, and having worked with you before, knowing what you're about, and obviously for what's to come, knowing the values that we set from the top down in the academy to guide and inspire the next generation?
I mean, for me personally, it's taken a lot of hard work to go through the age groups and progress. Hopefully the coaches can see that it can be done in terms of where they're at now and their ambitions as well. So I'll be here to support those ambitions as well for the coaching staff. And yeah, obviously my pathway is as an example, but again, I'll be here to support and guide and obviously share my experiences within the academy and with the fellow coaches. So yeah, looking forward to working with them and helping them progress as well now. So
appreciate, finally, it's quite an open-ended question, but what are the next steps now? What does the future look like, not just for Neil personally, for Ryan personally, but for the academy generally as well? What does the future hold? Yeah,
for me, it's trying to get players in and around the first team. Obviously we've got new first team staff, which is absolutely fantastic for the club, and it's not immediate short term but longer term. Our goal is to say, there you go, Gaffer, we've got 1 or 2 good players what we really think can maybe help you in the long run to do a job for you. And that's ultimately what our aim is, to either get more and more academy players into the first team setup, and potentially, like I say, if the club want to do it, sell players to Premier League clubs. That's the aim.
You use that word collaboratively, finally, in terms of Neil coming in and working alongside yourself, working alongside Mark in, teaching these players and guiding these players. Yeah. Having somebody like yourself who has gone on the journey that you have gone through the academy in terms of culture, getting to know the academy and the way we work and the values that we hold, that must be helpful for him and also for you in order to collaborate together and all work together to get the best results possible.
Definitely. I think it'll take a little bit of time for Neil to adjust and understand how we work, but that's totally natural. I'm here to support him and help him understand what we're about in terms of our culture, because that has been a strong emphasis for us as an academy, and I feel that culture has brought us success in many different ways. So for Neil to understand that, for us to get to know him on a personal level, obviously for him to get to know us as well as the players and how we operate and work, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm sure we'll work together in a positive way to get the best outcome, and hopefully that will be sooner rather than later. But yeah, the first stages would be to get to know the environment and get to know the players and as well as the staff for Neil.